What is happening in Kano now is a good illustration that all Nigeria position has been politicized, because you can imagine the position of a traditional ruler, an emir, has now become a ground to play politics. Let me take you back to history. Before, you know that Sanusi Lamido was the governor of the CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, during the Goodluck Jonathan administration. Based on the misappropriation of funds in CBNs at that time, he was sacked by Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the president by then. See, after some months, he was appointed as the Emir of Kano based on some glitches and some arguments during the former governor of Kano State, Ganduje. When Ganduje was aspiring for the second term in office, Sanusi weight was not behind him, due to some political problem. Ganduje eventually sacked Sanusi as the Emir of Kano and appointed another person as the Emir. Do you see the politics behind this whole stuff? Traditional institutions are depoliticized as we speak now. They are not doing their thing like politicians. It is funny. So that you know that any institution in this country, I don't think any institution can work if traditional institution had been used, traditional rulers is being used by politicians. What do you expect? What do you expect politicians to do in their political space? A traditional institution cannot be respected in this country because they have laid down themselves to politicians to be used. You will see that some traditional ruler will be sacked by the government because of some misappropriation and the rest things. It is shame, it is laughable, and it's not encouraging at all. This same man was sacked, Sanusi was sacked from the CBN based on what happened at that time. Misappropriation of funds. Later reappointed as the Emir of Kano. Later he was also sacked. Now he's now being reappointed again in 2024 and is now the Emir of Kano. What happened was Ganduje, who was the former governor of the who was the former governor of Kano State, lost his election, lost somebody he brought to contest the 2023 election to the ANPP. That is Kwankwaso candidate won Kano. That was the last election, March last year election. To speak now, the ANPP is now in charge of Kano, and I believe Sanusi is loyal to the present governor of Kano. That is why the present emir was sacked and Sanusi was reappointed. What am I trying to say here? The traditional ruler that is supposed to be a role model for other people to follow. Traditional ruler that is supposed to be a pathway for growing our communities has now become a crisis ground for people to criticize. This is not the first time, and it will just take a different look, a different turn. Things like this has been happening. Some will not be a detriment, some will just be a community and communal crisis that is sponsored by traditional rulers. Let's just stop complaining about the so-called government, or let's stop complaining about the Tinubu administration and the rest. Let's look into these traditional settings. Let's go deep into our villages. How the traditional rulers are being how the traditional rulers are oppressing our people in our various communities. Let's leave government aside. You see what happened now? Traditional ruler is being used by the government. You allow the government to use you. Before we read some, before we were growing up, we read in history that traditional institution is being respected by the government. Despite that, the federal system of government supersedes, supreme all those traditional rulers because we understand that governors are the people paying them. Governors are president are also the people who give them staff of office. That means the government is supreme. It's just the respect for them to rule the people and the rest things. What do you learn from this video? You now understand that everything in Nigeria is now politics. Thanks for watching this video.